we're a family. And as a family, today we're going to be collaborating. And of course, we are going to be going through and having much fun. Miss Evans, just bring on the excitement and keep the fun like you always do. Welcome. Remember, teachers, at the end of this session, there will be a form for you to complete. And that form means that you will be certified. If you do not complete it, then you will not be getting a certificate. So I'm going to ask you to pay very close attention to that and ensure that you complete the form, which Mr. Leslie, our Chief Professional Development Officer, will share with you. Of course, we have on the platform Mrs. Solomon. Mrs. Solomon is our Senior Director in the Teacher Services Unit. We have Mr. Lon Rich, and we have other members from the council family, and just thank you so much. Teachers, if you did not invite, if you look on the platform and you're not seeing your colleague, let them know we're live streaming. If they can't get in here in the Zoom space, as we reach 1,000, we're live streaming. Get them on board, because together we learn so we can elevate the education system. Have a great time as we now hand over to our good and able captain, Ms. Jodian Evans. Over to you, Ms. Evans.
Mrs. Wilmot, I think it's safe to say that it's always your energy that boosts my own. So I really appreciate that excellent introduction. Colleagues, good afternoon and welcome back to our conversation. And when I say conversation, I mean conversation. What we're going to be doing today is actually interacting with this rest stop communication, because we're talking about a statement piece today. We're talking about showing up and showing out. So, we want to actually engage in conversation where that is concerned. So let me go ahead and test out my features here. I want to see how quickly you can go ahead and give me the thumbs up if it is that you're here, if it is that you're ready, if it is that you're with me. All right, I see the thumbs up. Excellent. You see, the more thumbs that are going up is the more energized I get. So if it is that right, so I'm at 130. I'm climbing I'm getting there, and I'm seeing the hands raised and the clap features. Welcome, everyone. It is an honor to be your best friend for the next 2 hours. And when I say best friend, we're talking through everything. And you guys get to ask all your questions, and I'm here to answer as best as possible. So before I start, let me also put a little disclaimer let me squeeze in a disclaimer there. We're going to be looking at our e-portfolios today, and not just our e-portfolios, but our portfolios in general. And what I want to allow us to do is just go ahead while we're in this session, pull up your e-portfolio, pull up, if you have your portfolio beside you, pull your evidences together, because throughout the session, I will be using the raised hand features, yes, to actually go ahead and engage in conversation with you, right? So we're going to be going through today, taking a look at our agenda. We're going to be looking at the 6 guiding principles of the teacher appraisal. We're going to be focusing on selecting and organizing useful and relating evidence. And then we're going to look at putting the presentation together, making it impactful. This is where the showing up and showing out comes in, right? So we see here the quote that reminds us that the best preparation for tomorrow is doing your best today. So I'm going to start encouraging you, colleagues. If it is that, like I said, you have your portfolios ready, go ahead, open them up. And then as we continue to engage in conversation, I will invite you and allow you to raise your hand and we can speak, right? Excellent. So now that we've gone through that housekeeping matters, of course, first and foremost, we're going to be looking at a professional portfolio. What is it exactly? What is it that when we're talking about showing up and showing out, how can this document help with that? So we look at the portfolio, and I encourage you to read with me as well. It's the way to document your professional journey and demonstrate your skills and abilities, right? Now, we're looking at it's just been a collection of your work and accomplishments, either physically or in the digital format. So we're now acknowledging that in whatever way we decide to collate and represent our skills, represent our work, and represent our abilities, that's our professional portfolio, right? So we can also look at it as the dynamic record of one's qualifications, and we're putting it now to the teacher's perspective, a dynamic record of a teacher's qualifications and professional growth over time that can be used to assess one's success, areas for improvement, and means for fulfillment. So stay with me there, because you can see in terms of assessing one's success, how we can now drive this conversation to look at the appraisal process. So what we're looking at is, whenever we're talking about creating a professional portfolio, we're looking at it actually including 4 processes, right? We're looking at including the process of reflection. We're looking at the process of collection, selection, connection, right? I want you to go ahead and type in the chat for me in the meantime, or you can raise your hand and we can start our conversation here. When we're talking about actually engaging in these processes, why is it that we need to engage in these practices in order to actually create a successful and well put together portfolio, right? We're looking at reflection in the sense where we as educators, we look and we put our evidence together. We look at all the work that we would have done, whether or not it represents our best self, whether or not it represents our professional self. How is it that I can improve on any weaknesses that I might have had during the past appraisal process, and to actually see going forward, although I can include it in my portfolio, how can I make the change to go ahead and be better, right? So we're looking at putting all of these processes together to completely have a successful portfolio. So let's focus now on the teaching portfolio. And I'm going to apologize in advance if I might be going a bit fast, not necessarily too fast. I will maintain my speed. But 2 things, I'm very excited. And secondly, I want us to really capitalize on the time that we have here on this session. So we're going to be talking about the teaching portfolio. And what it is that we're looking at how our portfolio speaks to our competency, how it represents our commitment to the profession. Because as we would have identified before, it's how we represent ourselves. It's how we showcase to our employers or colleagues or whomever is interested that this is who I am as an educator. And with this now, and on that premise, we look at the portfolio as that standard tool that is used in our annual or termly appraisals, right? So not only that, but we will also look at it for our professional license renewal. So you'll hear me touch on the importance of the portfolio in, for example, our master teacher applications or teaching registration renewal, etc. So keep these little things in mind so that as we continue the conversation, you can actually make the connections, right? So we continue now and we look at the fact that it's an appraisal instrument that is used for making evaluative and summative decisions. We're looking at how we can use our portfolio to communicate with our employer, how it can be used to decide promotion. Again, for example, the master teacher status. We can look at how it can be used to recommend further development and training. And this now ties back to the reflective aspect. What we're looking at, especially here in the evaluative and summative decision making, is the fact that at the end of my appraisal process, at the end of my appraisal period, when I would have put my portfolio together and completed my pre and post reflection and evaluation, do I need any more professional developments to build my weaknesses? And that is where introspectively we can identify our weaknesses. And that's where, for example, our employers can also engage in that conversation to say that, listen, while you are an excellent teacher, this is something that can be worked on. And these are some trainings and development sessions I can use to boost that, right? Because if it's one thing that we have learned so far, especially with teaching online in the virtual space during a pandemic, is that we all need each other's help. So to actually engage in this, that's how we know use it to work with each other and again put forward our best e-portfolio. So we also use the portfolio as a tool for development, and we're going back to the same point, the developmental tool, where we look at it, we document our teaching experience, we document our service, we document any growth. We might have started at one institution and we would have transitioned to another. We might have grown in terms of our positions in our institutions, and our portfolio can reflect that growth. It can reflect starting out as a classroom teacher and matriculating to senior manager, to vice principal, to principal, and you can actually have this document that reflects said growth, right? It also provides evidence for our personal teaching style. As educators, we have been encouraged to continue our research, continue the reflection aspect, and we're looking at it to say that we have our own personal philosophies. Each of us as educators have sat down at some point and thought about our philosophy of education. What kind of educator do I want to be? What kind of educator did I have? Is that the educator that I hoped to be in the future, or is that the educator that I definitely know for a fact, firsthand experience, that I would never want to become? But all in all, even with all these questions and the reflective aspect of it, we would have developed over time a personal teaching style, how we would have included our own personal, our personalities into our teaching style, and how we ourselves show our students that we care in our individual and unique way. So our portfolio will also represent that. And then of course, we use it again for the reflection and self-development. So I feel the ball's roaring now, because we are now actually going to get into designing your portfolio. Now, the beautiful thing about our portfolio is the fact that we're not limited to one type. We're not limited to a medium. So we have those of us who have our physical portfolio. We are now growing into a technological period where we are transferring all our physical documents to the online space in our e-portfolio. You have different mediums that you can be reflected through. You can use your Google Drive as an example to showcase your documents in an organized way, which we will be looking at throughout the course of this presentation. But we're not limited to one style of showcasing our professional portfolio, right? However, when I go through this presentation, though, we will be focusing on our e-portfolio, and that is our e-portfolio, creating our e-portfolio using Google Sites, right? So that was a little disclaimer. So when we're going on now to designing your portfolio, the first thing that we do is gather the materials. We're going to gather them, we're going to organize them, and we're going to do so in a way that we are not confused. And when I said we're not confused, if we're confused by our evidences, if we're confused by our portfolio, then it's only natural then that whomever is interacting with our portfolio will kind of have that same sense of, I'm not so sure what, right? Whether it's timeline based, whether it's evidence based, whether it's photos versus documents, we want to be able to actually organize our materials to still represent ourselves professionally and in a timely way, right? We're also looking at keeping accurate records. And when we say accurate, we're not talking about only posting, or well, like not posting, but only including the students in our classes who would have gotten 10 out of 10 on their spelling test, or giving off the impression that we are such amazing teachers. And I'm not saying that we're not, that, we only showcase the good. A part of reflecting as an educator is actually also highlighting the areas that not only we've struggled with as educators, but showcasing our students' weaknesses and show how we would have used those weaknesses and developed them over our appraisal period, developed them over a term, developed them over the school year, right? So we're looking at accurately also having our registers intact, or anecdotal records are accurately kept. All of our meeting notes, if we've ever been secretaries for any type of meeting, we're looking at just keeping accurate records that can give a true reflection of your teaching experience. And then, of course, my favorite part, personalizing the portfolio. The discussion here is based on showing up. We're talking about having a show-stopping version of yourself that we're presenting, right? We're talking about personal branding. We're talking about being that teacher. I mean, we can also comment in the chat. I'm not that old, but I remember the time when, teachers, we have, you'd see a teacher and you just somehow worship the ground, and I use worship loosely, the ground that they walk on. And you look at them and you're just in awe, because teachers were and is, just that profession that you whenever you see a teacher, you just feel it, right? We're looking at presenting ourselves in that way. We have to first love our profession and have it exuded through our professional portfolio, right? And of course, with all of that, we're going to go back to organizing our folder based on the teaching standards provided by the Jamaica Teaching Council's Professional Standard for Educators, Jamaica, and that is where we will find the guiding principles and the professional standards aligned to our appraisal document. All right, so far, I know you're with me. I'm going to take a thumbs up pause right here so far for our educators on YouTube. Find a way to give me a thumbs up as well. Remember to also have and pull up your e-portfolio, because the conversation officially began, right? So we're getting there now. Our e-portfolio, what we're looking at firstly is the elements that we want to have in our e-portfolio. And then we're going to look at how we design and organize and put them together. Andrina, I saw your hand raised, but you lowered it. I'm not sure if that's a mistake, but remember, colleagues, that you can feel free to raise your hand and intervene whenever you see fit, right? So let's talk about our professional portfolio. We're looking at our introductory information now. So what we're looking at, and again, I'm going to liken this now to the e-portfolio. So this is now where we're going to transition to what we're looking at, or the elements that we're looking for in our e-portfolio. We're looking at our homepage. The homepage is the tada of our portfolio. So when you go on, you want to see that professional headshot. I encourage us all, every educator that's listening here on Zoom and YouTube, go ahead and get your professional photos done. It adds an extra oomph to our professional portfolios, right? So we want to have our professional headshot because we want the persons who are interacting with our portfolio to see who we are and to be impressed at the same time, right? So with the professional photo, we'll also have the introduction, right? Who am I? Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about who you are as an individual. Who I am as Jodian is a little bit different from who I am as Miss Evans. But how can I get a sense of both, right? This is where I want to get a feel of who you are individually and as an educator, right? Then we're looking at our mantra. And when we talk about our mantra here, it also ties in with our teaching philosophy, but we're looking at what are we guided by What is the quote that you're guided by, right? For example, my mantra has always been that I might not be able to change the world, but I will definitely spark the brain that will, right? So that's my mantra. That's something that I'm guided by. I wake up every day thinking about the fact that even if I leave, having not necessarily created this big change, whomever I've interacted with should have that impact, should carry on that trajectory, right? And of course, we want it to feel homely. You know, you want to welcome them to your site. You want persons to feel that you created the site for them, you know, for them to interact with you and you're talking to them through your portfolio. And then, of course, you know, we have the table of contents. So I know you're probably thinking that, boy, Miss Evans, I really hope that you have an example, because so far this sounds like a lot. And of course, you know, we here at the Jamaica Teaching Council, we always think 3 steps ahead, and we have several examples to show you of same. But we're also looking at our resume. It's tied with who we are because it showcases what we've accomplished. It showcases our qualifications, or experiences, or years of service, etc. Right? And we also use our professional portfolio as a resume, right? So we just want to have that reflected with the inclusion of that resume. So we also look at our current place of employment. And I said current because there's another heading that will look at teaching experiences. So for your current place of employment, you'll be talking about your institution. You give a brief summary and profile of the school, its vision, its mission, just to get an idea of the institution that you're tied to, right? You represent your school. So you can add the school's social media pages, photographs, your duties and roles at the institutions. For example, whether you're on this committee, whether you serve as senior manager, whether you work for this club, but not work for, whether you're in charge of this club or whatever. For example, whether you're a mentor, a trained mentor at your institution, you'll include all that information there in the place of employment section. And again, we acknowledge and identify our teaching philosophy. Our teaching experiences now will cover all our teaching experiences. And for my portfolio, I even went as far as to include the teaching experiences I had garnered during college when I went on teaching practice, because that is teaching experiences. So my professional journey started when I was in college. So we're looking at all of the experiences that you would have gathered, whether formally or informally. You're not limited to actually proving, not necessarily proving for want of a better word, but actually going to that type of institution. If you have experiences with the students at your church or whomever, and you have, garnered that teaching experience, that can also be there as well. And you just find a way to personalize your e-portfolio to tie everything in. And then, of course, we'll also add our qualifications and awards. So far, so good. I know that everyone is thinking about it. Everyone is looking at their portfolio. I'm hoping, because like I said, it will almost be time to start sharing your own. So now we're going to just go straight into our guiding principles and professional standards. So based on documentation, there are 6 guiding principles, and each guiding principle will guide the flow of your e-portfolio, right? It helps us to keep our portfolio organized and following each principle. For example, and I want you to read with me, it will be on the screen long enough for you to even screenshot if you so desire. But we're looking at each guiding principle now. Guiding principle 1, teacher knows the subject content that he or she teaches. And as we go through the presentation, we're actually going to talk about including ourselves in each guiding principle in terms of language, and personalizing the guiding principle to really reflect your work and evidence. So for example, on my e-portfolio, I might represent it as Miss Evans knows the subject content that she teaches, right? Or you can even go as far as to say Davian knows the subject content that he teaches. So personalizing it, really inserting yourself in each guiding principle to showcase how involved you are with each, right? Guiding principle 2 is teacher knows how to teach the subject or subjects for which he or she is responsible. Guiding principle 3, we're looking at the fact that the teacher is committed to the children in his or her care. Managing the learning process, we're looking at inclusivity. We're looking at anything that we might do to ensure that all students learn. Every child can learn and every child must learn. What are the strategies that we put in place to ensure that that happens in our classroom? We're looking at guiding principle 4. Teacher sharpens his or her professional skills. So far, all 1,000 plus those of us on YouTube have some evidence to include in our guiding principle 4 already, just by being here, sharpening your professional skill. Then we go on to guiding principle 5, which is teacher interacts with the parent and the community. And of course, guiding principle 6, teacher conducts himself or herself in a manner that uplifts the profession. So again, colleagues, we're looking at having this push forward and control the flow of our portfolio, be it physical or online. We're looking at having our portfolio represent who we are as educators in each of the different guiding principles, right? So now we're going to take a more in-depth look in terms of the evidence that each guiding principle will fit, right? So for example, we're looking at guiding principle 1. Teachers know the subject that they teach, right? Here, what we're looking at is including, for example, the strategies that you might use to develop emotional intelligence. You're looking at samples of students' work. We're looking at your action plan. And let me pause here to remind you, colleagues, that the Jamaica Teaching Council we had recently done an in-depth presentation looking at the action plan and e-portfolio, and you can find all of this on the YouTube channel. So for example, looking at guiding principle 1 and action plan, Mrs. Rachel Harris Burrell, one of our trainers and teacher mentors, actually did an in-depth presentation on this. So you can also find that on the YouTube channel. But for guiding principle 1, this is where on our portfolio, we would now look at the behavior management techniques. We're looking at any resources that you might have developed. And these resources are as simple as any worksheets that you would have put together. Let's say, for example, in differentiated instruction, you've grouped your students, and you would have always ensured that each group has their ability work set for them. This is where you showcase that differentiation, right? You're looking at including anything that you might have done to ensure that you're abreast in subject areas. So any professional development training in a particular subject area, for example, or high school teachers, if you are subject bound, if it is that you are a part of an association that does continue trainings on your subject area, you add it here. You add your evaluations to your lesson plans. You add your lesson plans. You add technological sources of information. This is where you showcase how much of your subject you know, right? And we're not just limited to these, we're also putting it in perspective. We're looking at all of the lesson plans for all of the grades that you would have taught, and all of them should be evaluated, having this been included under guiding principle 1 in our portfolio. We're looking at our assessment plans, intervention plans, action plans, student profile. We're looking at behavior modification, classroom management techniques, students' work, the strategies that you're using, the teaching and learning experiences, any resources, data analysis. These are the evidence that we look for to actually say that, yes, this is clearly outlined that this teacher knows their subject, right? And for us primary educators, and I mean, educators overall, even if we might teach more than one subject, we're proving competency, in all areas, right? So we're moving now to guiding principle 2. We're knowing how to teach the subject that you're responsible for. So you can see the difference. And once the guiding principles are outlined in this way, you can appreciate the, for want of a better word, divide, right? Because in guiding principle 1, you're looking at the knowledge that you have. Yes, you know the content, but guiding principle 2 focuses on how that content is relayed to the students, which is the most important part. So here you're looking at the evidence that you might take in your reflective teaching and learning. We're looking at the action research to actually evaluate any issues that you might come across in teaching the subject or any particular subject in your classes. I can only understand what math teachers go through with this national notion that math is extremely difficult and there is a mental block towards the subject. So here in guiding principle 2 is where all our math teachers can really showcase that in spite of the stigma that surrounds mathematics, this is how I reach my students, and continued practice will show that it works, right? So you're looking at fostering competence and self-confidence, and really putting out that knowledge through collaborative and supportive means, and inclusion of an interactive teaching and learning environment. So examples now, here we're looking at you showcasing your lessons. So teaching recordings or videos. We're looking at any of the online tools that you might have used in your lessons. For example, Jamboard, Slidesmania, Google Slides, ThingLink. You know, the options are endless, but this is where you should say that it has been proven in my class that the use of online tools or educational tools play a key role in students' reception and engagement, and in turn, their overall learning experience. So you want to showcase the evidence in that way. You also, for the physical portfolio or the evidence that we might have had prior, looking at any manipulatives or charts that you would have used in lessons, right? So for example, our science teachers with our labs, physics, any subject that has these manipulatives that can be used or should be used in our lessons. This is where we put them forward. Also, students' work or videos. This is where you actually show the evidence of all the strategies that you would have implemented in your classroom and how they are proving successful. All right, so stay with me. We're almost there. We're almost there. Look with me, for guiding principle 3. I see Portia in the chat saying that the stigma has been transferred to English language and the modern language. That's very interesting, and I hope that we can continue to talk about that, Portia, because I don't even think I knew that. So that's something that's very interesting to learn, right? So we're looking at guiding principle 3 now, where we're looking at how committed you are in for the students, how you are in terms of management and ensuring that the learning process continues, taking into consideration the different diversities of our learners and fostering inclusion, right? So, and I have a great example of this to show you later on, where a teacher had a student who was mute, and a student who had, I think, a different language, who spoke a different language in her class. So she engaged with, you're going to see it, but she engaged with a peer tutor who could translate, and she used the different methods online to translate all of her notes from English to Spanish to accommodate the child. So you're really looking at all of the means that you would have gone through, the extra mile that you go to ensure that all students learn, right? Here you'll also see that we're looking at the incentive list. We're looking at how we boost their holistic development, right? How we encourage them, the confidence boosters, how we show them that making mistakes are okay. It's a part of the learning process, but let's celebrate when you achieve something great, right? So you're looking at also the case studies that you can carry out in your teaching and learning space to show that the strategies that you are experiencing can work. And with putting it out with the portfolio, we're now looking at how we can transfer that to help our colleagues. So again, some examples for guiding principle 3 would be students' work, photographs of our students, which we would definitely need permission from the parents to add. What can be done if it is that parents haven't necessarily given permissions and their faces can be blurred. But once a face is shown in the portfolio, permission must have been granted. Here you would also, again, attach copies of your attendance record, anecdotal or observational checklist, because it's this research that you would have done, this observation that you would have seen that said, okay, I realized that Sally acts up during math time or English time, like Portia would have said. What can I do based on this behavior to ensure that she learns? So it's putting everything together, every piece of the puzzle together to really ensure that every child is engaged and every child is learning. You're looking at also photographs of any of the events that you might have done, co-curricular activities. For example, Jamaica Day, Career Day. I really hope that for the celebrations that we would have had yesterday nationwide, that you would have gathered some evidence there. I'm sure many of us would have thought to do so, right? And just overall displaying how you interact with your students, not just academically, but emotionally, how you reach them mentally, etc. We move now to guiding principle 4. Teacher sharpens his or her professional skills. So what you're looking at is, again, showcasing the evidence of, for example, effective curriculum implementation, accurate teaching record, how it is that you prepare your lessons, what research have you done? And you realize that the word research comes up a lot because as an educator, the concept of research should be continuous. In our everyday teaching and learning, we should experience and actually go through action research in our lessons, not lessons, but in our classroom, right? And of course, you're looking at the professional development courses and seminars that you would have attended, you would have carried out, participated in to show this continuity in terms of your professional growth and skills. Examples of this now would be certificates that you might have received for your contribution to the profession, any functions or events that you would have been a part of, professional seminars that you would have been a part of or attended. Your vision board is very effective here because it shows not only where you are currently, but where you see yourself going in the next 5 or so years, especially as an educator. Right now, as educators, we're all focusing on achieving our Vision 2030 goals. So we're looking at how the decisions I make today, how I represent myself and my profession today can nationally look towards completing and achieving the Vision 2030 goals. Here you'll also attach your teacher registration certificates, your membership to any professional association, whether you are a part of the JTA body, any other body that would have been outlined for us to be a part of. You'll include your QEC and region number, and again, any action research that you would have done to actually prove continuity in the development of your professional skill. So guiding principle 5, and colleagues, remember, I do not want to be talking alone. So I'm going to go ahead and look out for the hands raised. And I want you to also think about any other resources or evidence that you can use per guiding principle. If I might have left out some and you think that maybe this evidence could work in this principle, then I encourage you to share, not only for myself, but our other colleagues. Guiding principle 5 looks at how we interact with parents and the community. So we're looking at your PTA meetings, how you communicate with these important stakeholders in our students' education, right? How we partner with them to ensure that whatever I complete here can be continued in the home space. How do I work with the support received from the parents? How do I ensure I receive support from the parents? What do I do to encourage those who might not be offering enough support? So we're really and truly looking at strategies that we'd use to motivate parents to participate in our students' lives. We're looking at any certificates that you might have put forward for the parents in your class. You know, we have Parent Month. Have you ever put together a token to celebrate your parents? These are some of the things that we're looking at. You can also, here in Guiding Principle 5, acknowledge any feedback that you would have received from your parents. So again, you're looking at community functions and involvements, anything relating to the parents and community upliftment. Basically, any PTA agenda or minutes, if the agenda even says that Miss Jordan Evans did the prayer, I'm attaching it there because it shows that I was involved in this particular PTA session. So that's what we look at, really keeping up with all of the evidence that we have there. All right, so I'm seeing in the comment that a lot of us are asking. Okay, a lot of us are asking for me to go back. All right, so I can definitely do that too. I will go back to the intro slide while we're having our discussion so that you can go ahead and make those jottings there. I saw a question, how do we integrate the guiding principles with the online teaching and learning? And what we're looking at is, these are things that we do. The guiding principles basically just outline everything that we are tasked to do, all our mandates, and puts it outlined together to say that this is what we're expecting this teacher to carry out. So for example, in the online space, if it is that you would have engaged your parents in on a Zoom meeting, for example, you'd have met with them on Zoom at the beginning of the year to talk to them about your expectations of them, and that way they can share the expectations of you. That's a great evidence for Guiding Principle 5. Let's go back now to Guiding Principle 4, where we're looking at any professional seminars that you might have attended. Right now, we're on the virtual and online space. We're looking at, how can I capture this and represent it on my portfolio to show that, yes, on the designated professional development day, I was actively engaged in professional development training, right? So there are ways, and as we go through showcasing the evidence, I hope you get a more clear perspective on how to incorporate it in the online class. But once you're teaching, once you're engaging with students, once you're engaging with your colleagues, once there's collaboration, lesson plans are being done, once the teaching and learning process is actually happening, then you're already 3/4 complete in terms of attaching these evidence to the guiding principles. So let's continue now to guiding principle 6, the final guiding principle. We're looking at teacher conducting him or herself in a manner that uplifts the profession. And here is where we look at copies of our appraisals, any recommendations that we would have received from our peers, any recommendations we would have received from our principal, any recommendation we might receive from our colleagues, right? You're looking at your involvement in any curricular development, any membership of professional bodies. For example, all trained mentors right now are actively engaged in the Mentorship Association of Jamaica Limited. So this is a clear example of showcasing on our professional portfolio how our membership in such an organization, in such an association, allows us to really develop and uplift the profession, right? So you're also looking at teaching awards and recognition. You're looking at any publications or educational journals that you might have been involved in. And even if they haven't been published, you can create your own evidence. If it hasn't been published, but you have your evidence and you have your journal entries, that's something that you can put together and put on your portfolio, right? You're looking at also any presentations that you might have delivered, your service on committees, etc. Now, we're also looking at For example, linking your YouTube channel. All right, Andrea, I see your question, and I will definitely work on that. I will find out if we can see how best to do so. But please also remember that this will be uploaded on the YouTube channel, so the resource will always be there. Is recruiting persons for the mentorship program still going on? Yes, actually, we just started, or let me pause for a second, everyone. We just started cohort 3 with the mentorship program right now. So at the end of that, then all mentors who would have completed cohort 3 would have been inducted into the mentorship program, but more information will follow. So yes, now we're also looking at the recommendations that we would have received. Linking your YouTube channels. Teachers, how many of us have used YouTube in our classes? I, for one, have created a YouTube channel. I know many of us have used YouTube as a means to actually put out content, local content for our students to interact and relate to. This is where now you put that together. We're also looking at hyperlinking your LinkedIn account. As professionals, if we really want to showcase how we uplift the profession, it starts with how we put together, how we put ourselves out there, how we engage and interact with other colleagues from similar and different professions, right? So hyperlinking your LinkedIn account, we're looking at any testimonials of just how amazing of a teacher you are from your principals, your teachers, your parents, your students, anyone that speaks highly of you. Again, you want to have your professional photograph. You can record yourself talking about yourself. I mean, who is our biggest fan than ourselves? And just really talk about how to be that authentic teacher, right? Because each of us here, we're walking research. And what I learn now in my classroom, I can go ahead and put forward and help a beginning teacher or an emerging teacher. And not to necessarily prevent them from making the same mistakes, but to really pass on information that I might have wanted myself. Another note for all of us who are interested in the mentorship program, Mrs. Peart Wilmot is online. We'll see how quickly we can allow her to take at least 15 minutes to update you accordingly. But I definitely encourage all of us as teachers to become trained mentors and to be a part of the association. And of course, the last 2 references that we're going to be looking at, or evidences that we can add, is a reference letter from our principal, teaching awards, educational journals, etc. Right? So let me do a thumbs up check. YouTube, I'm looking for you in the chat as well. Let's do a thumbs up check. Are we ready to start demonstrating the evidences that we have collected on our portfolio? So we are getting right to the neck of it. So having outlined all the evidences, what we're going to do now is organize our documents. I am excited that I have my first friend to talk to. Yes, Shelly Ann, go ahead and unmute your mic. Talk to me, man. I've been talking a lot.
Miss Evans.
Good afternoon. I'm happy that
Miss Shelly Ann, just before Miss Shelly Ann comes, you have to take.
Okay. All right, 1 minute, Shelly Ann, 1 minute, Shelly Ann. Mrs. Wilmot is here, everyone.
Yes, we have to now take our jig break. So over to DJ, Davy, and Leslie. We're going to take our jig break at this time. I want to give a shout out to the Jesse Ripple family, principal, the teachers. So over to DJ, get up, and you are going to show me that you can do this move. It's a test. Make sure you pass it. DJ Leslie, over to you. Big break, big break.
Thank you. Should I allow them to turn on camera? Is it that you want to see what they're doing?
I want to see what they're doing. Yes, I encourage
them.
Let them practice first. They have to practice first. And if somebody wants to take on the challenge, we'll allow them, but give them the practice first. All right, so 2 minutes of jig break. Get the move, but we're gonna start it over, and we're gonna do our jig break. Let's go, because we have to wake them up. DJ Leslie, wake them up. Over to you.
You hearing me, right?
Yes.
Jerusalem, ikayalami, ilondoloze, uhambe na Jerusalema ikayalami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana dawo yami ayikholana buso wami awukholana ilondoloze zuhambe nami dawo yami ayikholana buso wami awukholana ilondoloze
So now we have
zuhambe nami ilondoloze
pause here.
ilondoloze zungangishilana
I see Mr. Broderick. Yes, Mr. Broderick. Yes, 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 yes,
All right, so
dawo yami ayikholana buso wami awukholana ilondoloze zuhambe.
thank you so much, DJ Leslie. And so at this time, I hope that we wake them up, DJ Leslie, because they can't afford to be sleeping for the next session.
no, but no.
Yes. So Miss Evans, over to you. Everybody should be alert now and ready to go. Over to you, Miss Evans. And
Right on time. Yes, Mrs. Wilmot, right on time, because now that we're pumped, we're ready to showcase and open our portfolios. And even if, let's talk about what it is that we're looking to add to our e-portfolios. All right, Shelly, back to you, my darling. I hope you wrote your point down. Go ahead and unmute.
Okay, Miss. I got kicked out in the initial introduction of the presentation.
Mhm.
I wanted you to go back to guiding principle 1, 2, and 3 so I can snapshot it.
All right, no problem, my darling, but here's what's going to
So
happen.
you won't be able to go through it with me because in the interest of time, I just want to take the picture so I can go through it in my time.
All right, yeah, man, no problem. But what I was going to mention is that what you can do as well is go on our YouTube page right now. Because it's streamed live, you still have the option to toggle between what you might have missed. So you can go ahead and interact with YouTube right now and take the screenshot from there.
Okay, that's what Miss Salmon just posted.
Yeah, she just posted it there.
All right, thanks.
All right, excellent. All right, everyone. So let's get back into it. I'm pumped, I'm energized, and now we're going to look through the actual evidence, right? So what we're looking at now is putting our portfolio together. We're looking at putting our Google Drive together, right? What you would see here is that you have my Google Drive outlined here. And what we'll see is that I have some folders that I interact with. Now, what I encourage you to do is before even starting your portfolio, what you're going to do is create a folder for your e-portfolio. All right. So for example, I would have created a portfolio here for my professional portfolio documents. And of course, if we want to know how to go ahead and create a portfolio, we just go right here on new. Once you go on new, then you see folder. All right. So that's what we're looking at, creating a new folder. What happens is that the organization starts from there. So let's say, for example, I go in my professional portfolio and you'll see that I can organize my documents in any way. I can organize them per guiding principle. I can organize them per evidence. For example, I can have all my professional documents here. I can have And when I say professional documents, I can have my resume there, my philosophy of education there. I can have my teaching appraisal document there. Anything that's a professional document can be posted there. So you can really choose how to go about organizing it in a way that still works with the effectiveness of your e-portfolio. I see another hand. S, good. Go ahead and unmute for me. You have a question? All right, I'm not sure what's happening because I'm not hearing you, but you can go ahead and type your question in the chat. Miss Henry, go ahead.
Good evening, colleagues. Good evening, everyone. My question is this. In past times, we have attended some workshop that JCC has hosted, whether by University of Technology of UTech, Shortwood, various places. And some of us have not even received that certificate, no, which would be needed to be a part of this e-portfolio. So how is it that we can attain such?
All right, two things. Let's say, for example, you did attend the workshop, and instead of the certificate, which you might not have received yet, you have a copy of the agenda, you have a screenshot of your attendance, you have a letter of invitation that you might have joined the courses with. For example, for any course that you would have done with the Jamaica Teaching Council, an email correspondence has always been sent. So the certificate is not the only proof or the only evidence of attendance. Until you have such evidence, there are other ways that you can showcase same, right? So that's why I said, for example, for all of us here, if it is that you open your participants list on the Zoom, you'd have seen your name at the top. Right now, you see Ms. Evans presenting and you see that this is a JTC event. You take a screenshot of your involvement and you go ahead and you post it. What we have to look at is actually being innovative in actually showcasing the evidence. Because, and when I say innovative, I'm talking creating it in a way that still truly represents what it is that you're looking out for. So for many of us who might not have received a certificate, there are other ways and means to, again, showcase attendance, right? So thank you so much for that question. Mrs. Wilmot?
Yes, may I also answer a question I saw in the chat about the... I want to, Mrs. Solomon and Mr. Leslie are putting the... There are some questions for you to answer, because remember that we're looking at how interactive you've been with the content that's being delivered. So it's 3 different activities today. So yes, you're required to do the form for all 3. Thought that was important. And also very important, teachers, I must plug here that you need to ensure that you are registered with the Jamaica Teaching Council. Remember, it is not something that you have a choice about. It is a part of the Education Act. You will have implications for your certificate. All right. We're not going to labor on the point of the certificate, but I deem it important that that be said. I'm going to be sharing in a short while the contact number for our registration officers by region and also our senior registration officer, so that you can reach out to them. All right. So make note of that.
All right, thank you so much, Mrs. Wilmot. All right, I see Arisa's hand up. Go ahead, Arisa. Mrs. Beckford, can you unmute?
Okay, good afternoon. I was just making reference to the registration with the JTC. I was registered, however, every time I tried to go in, it is saying that my TRN does not match with my name. So I'm not sure if there can be any clarity on that.
All right. Go
ahead. Well, okay, no problem. Teachers, and again, we do know that the issue of registration is one that There's a lot of interest in. I think the council has made a lot of effort over the last 2 or 3 months to engage teachers around the issue of registration. There are so many videos on our YouTube page and so many opportunities for you to engage with us when we ask you to about registration. The truth is though, that we don't want Miss Evans to be the one you address those questions to. First and foremost, Miss Evans is a guest in this space. She's not a member of staff at the council and would not be able to help you with those questions. That's the first thing. And then secondly, we really don't want this session to be taken over by issues of registration. And so I can appreciate that you may even put your comments in the chat, but could I please ask that we refrain, at least for the time being, from talking about registration. Mrs. Wilmot has indicated that she will share numbers with you for the registration officers that you can use to contact them. Over to you, Jodian.
Thank you so much, Mr. Leslie. All right, so now we're continuing in terms of, let's gather our thoughts a little bit and continue looking at how we can organize our e-portfolio. Now, like I would have mentioned before, you can organize them per principle, or for example, organize all of your videos, all of the students' work, where when you create your folder, you start uploading all of the different photos, pictures, videos, anything that reflects the same, you can upload it in said documents. Now, while I'm on the topic of Google Drive, what is important to also note is that you want to ensure that this general portfolio and everything that is included is shared publicly. Shared with anyone with the link can view. Because what happens is if it's not shared publicly, what you'll have is an incomplete site where persons will continuously be asking for permission to view any of the evidence that you would have uploaded. So what you can see here is that based on this portfolio, when I click on share, anyone with the link on the internet can view it. And when we talk about link, we're talking about once it's actually inserted into the Google site, then that person automatically gets permission to view it, right? So once we've done this with the general portfolio folder, then everything that's included in this folder will now represent same. All right. So I have some examples to show you here while you guys are still bringing up your e-portfolios, and I'm still hoping that at least one of us can share. So we're going to take a look at my e-portfolio. What we're looking at here is, and what I'm going to be showing you is all of the introductory aspects. So remember when we looked at the introduction, the introductory information, where we talk about having the home page, the About Me page, we talk about having the, for example, your mantra, your place of employment, teaching philosophy. This is an example of same. So here you have my professional portfolio, and I want you to send me in the chat what's the first thing you see. And if the first thing you saw was my beautiful God-given face, then I want you to recognize the importance of a professional photo, right? So, and yes, I was fishing for a compliment. So if the compliments can come in still, I would appreciate that. But yes, that was an attempt to get some going off in the chat, right? But we're looking at representing ourselves in the best way possible. This is my professional portfolio. What you'll see as we continue scrolling through my professional portfolio is how it is that, so I have a video here introducing myself. So not only are you seeing a picture, but you're seeing a video of who I am, me actually hearing my voice explaining what it is that I'm doing, etc. right? So you see that I am Jodian Evans, a special educator, educational technology trainer, teacher, mentor, educational content creator. I'm selling myself, I mean, I'm all of this and so much more, but I'm putting it in and saying that, yes, I'm going to sell myself to whomever is interacting with my site. So here's a mantra here. A good teacher is like a candle. It consumes itself to light the way for others. So now you can see that I have a rationale. What is it that you will engage with when you're on my site? And then you'll see that I talk about the 2021 to 2020 to 2021 period, which this portfolio reflects. So this portfolio is reflecting that appraisal period. So you see here that, I have a nice photo of myself just going on in my branded shirt. We're going to talk about that shortly. And then you see here that I have my table of contents. Teachers, if you're wondering, Ms. Evans, how did you get your sites to look like that? There are videos on the Jamaica Teaching Council's YouTube page that talks about how we can engage and really make the best of Google Sites aesthetically through the use of other apps, for example, Canva, right? So you see here that I have my table of contents, and you see that they're interactive here, where I broke up my portfolio in sections. Section 1, highlighting who I am. Section 2, the professional standards, and Section 3, the action research. All right. So let's go to my About Me page. So you can see here that everything is already properly organized. So here you have the About the Teacher. Again, what's the first thing that you see? The photo. Important to really reflect and represent yourself online. So here you have
Jody,
Yes.
Jody, I'm sorry. Could you go back to the About Me and just let us see the drop-down options that you have?
Right
Where
here?
you are, let's just see the drop-down options.
Okay.
So you have a link for professional documents,
Right.
place of employment, teaching experiences, and apply to primary.
Yes.
Right. Do you want
which
to
would
kind of
have been
comment a
my
little
brand.
bit on how you chose those different features of the About Me to add there?
All right, no problem. So let's go back to for a second to the introductory information here. So what you're seeing represented is how we would have, based on just anything that represents who I am, would be added to the page. And also, educators, not only was this provided by the Jamaica Teaching Council through the mentorship training, but if you go online and you actually look and research, what are some elements, key elements to any portfolio, you see that they will outline this here. So you have that homogeneity in terms of all of the information that employers would be looking for, colleagues would be looking for, anything that represents you in different ways. So we have that option there to go ahead and find these different elements online. And the Jamaica Teaching Council also provides this outline for us to complete our e-portfolio, right? So now that again, take a screenshot here, because at least this way, you'll get to see what it is that I have outlined here and how it's represented on my site. So here again, the home page, who am I, resume, place of employment, etc. That's what we're looking here at the About Me page. So you see that here on the About Me page, I have my bio written in the third person. I scroll down and I have all of the associations that I'm a part of, including my brand logo, because I am a brand and I have to ensure that it's represented with my professional portfolio. So you have different aspects here, just different ways that you can interact with me, video presentations to talk about who I am. Now, while this is not a video about my passion, it's a placeholder video. But someone had asked earlier in the chat about our storage on Google. Using our YouTube channel to upload our videos there and attaching it directly to our Google Sites is a great way to save on space and to still maintain that connection, that space, time, organization aspect that we want for our website. So again, this is a placeholder video, right? So what is it that I am represented by? I'm guided by love, by core, and by work. So you come down here and say who I am. As an educator, I pride myself in being dedicated and devoted. So you want to put forth any aspect that represents who you are. Nobody told me to insert a character strengths assessment. One day while I was working online, I saw that I could do so, a character strengths assessment quiz, and I did it. And the quiz said that my core strength is wisdom. Now, I might not even believe that, but if it says so, then I will represent it. I will go in faith that the site is correct. My core strength is wisdom, right? So anything that you can go ahead and you're not limited to what you can add to your portfolio, but you want to go ahead and still represent yourself in a professional way. So here you see I also included a reflection, and at the bottom of each page, I would have added a button that takes you to the next page. So here you'll see that the next page will be my professional documents page. All right. So here, professional documents page. I want someone else to type what they've seen in the chat so far. So far, what you're realizing is that my site has a straight theme. My site is thematic. What it does is it allows for us to have that wholesome feel and that professional site. Yes, we want to be creative, but we still have to look at it that this is a professional version of your resume. You want your educators to be able to interact with it. While your favorite color might be pink, yellow, you can include it in certain aspects, but you still want to control the creativity. Not control, how do I put it? Not control the creativity, but still know the line between professional and fill in the blanks, teachers.
And crazy.
Right, right, thank you. Fill in the blanks, right? So here with
just
the
letting you know, just letting you know, Jody, that I've two teachers who I don't think know each other, and I don't think they're coordinating with each other. Have messaged me personally and directly to ask if you do this for as a service. Could you build their website for them? They're asking. You don't have to answer that at all, but I'm just letting you know that people are impressed, highly impressed with what you're doing here.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Cheryl said professional versus playful. I love that. Rashida says, I'm not sure if I'm ready for them levels here, Miss Evans. Rashida, stop it. And stop it right now, because listen, like I said, go ahead and watch our videos. Teachers, stick with the JTC. JTC will take you from wherever you feel you are to professional in just one professional workshop. All right. So let's continue and looking at our professional documents. And like I said, you have to know how it is you want to represent yourself. So I started off with my reflection. I started off with who am I and what I've been entrusted with. Being a classroom teacher is an important task, you know. And once I reflect on the importance of what I do on a daily basis, then it allows me to view every time I step into the classroom as something else, right? So here you have my qualification. I want all the Myconians to start blazing out the chat. No, please don't do that, but kind of do it. But yes, a proud graduate of the Micro University College. I showcase my picture here. Colleagues, I implore you, everything, anything, put it on your site. I see Loy on YouTube asking about what's going to happen to the teachers who are not tech savvy. Loy, let me encourage you. It doesn't take tech savvy to represent yourself professionally. It doesn't take tech savvy to represent yourself in the best way possible, right? You really just have to believe in yourself and know that everything that you've done would have been to the best of your ability. Or like our Myconians would say, do it with thy might. All right, I'm going to stop now. I'm going to let us continue before all the Myconians start to control the chat, right? But yes, and here you see I have my professional resume. Again, we're now adding our, okay, just like Sham Sharp is in the building. Yeah, man, I say Sham Sharp and NCU is in the building and everything like that, right? So add your professional picture to your resume as well. Remember, you know, colleagues, we're growing in a technology space where everything now starts to be represented virtually, digitally, and we want to ensure that the digital representation fits our mandate and who we are, right? So again, you'd have seen that I would have added my philosophy of education, etc. So here now we're going to go to the place of employment. Mrs. Wilmot?
1 minute, Miss Evans. I think, yes. So we're going to take an advert now, a JTC advert break. So I'll put the screen share for a minute, and we're going to look at where you get all information that looks all so amazing. You can do this. So look where you find this. Here, teachers, let me go back. So if you have on our YouTube channel, all that Miss Evans is showing you, if you go through these, infusing the teaching appraisal, the 6 guiding principles at your own pace, you can create an awesome e-portfolio like the one you're seeing. So just take the time, go on our channel, and don't forget to subscribe, to like, watch these videos. This is what we would have done in a 4-day, 5-day, over 5 days, and you will be able to do this step by step, just what Miss Evans has done. She was one of our presenters here, along with a team of other mentors. So this is our JTC break, and that was our free advertisement. Back to you, Miss Evans.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Wilmot. I definitely think that you have a second job waiting for you if you're ready and open. So yes, we're going to continue now looking at the place of employment, and I'm going to go through this quickly because we have another amazing educators portfolio to look at in terms of going through the guiding principles, right? So here with the place of employment, you're going to see this delay here because it's a video that's loading. So when it loads up, you'll see that. But I'm representing my school, the Jesse Repole Primary School, a school of excellence. That's the school I am a part of. That's the school I'm representing. So this is a part of my school, right? So let's scroll down, mission statement, administration. You have a video.
Ms. Evans, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to charge you because you have to pay for that ad. And I'll also charge your principal.
I'll let him know. I'll let him know
for that one. Send the money over to me. I will share with you. All right. I will share with you the bank account.
Just put it on this tab, Mrs. Wilmot. Put it on this tab. But what you can also see here is that I represented the school pride. Our song talks about, ever to excel, so it's there. So you'll see that I added a hyperlink to the school's website there, and then again, continuing with the same feel of my site, going on now to teaching experiences, right? So we can go ahead and go through all of that. Teaching experiences, where I would have gone, where I would have worked. You see that it is still fitting the same theme, because what it is, my theme is black and white, because all of my photos have all the colors that I need to kind of play with it. So you're looking at creatively representing your brand right there. So here you have a video of myself in terms of my teaching experiences, what it is that I have, where I've taught, what I've garnered, what I've learned so far, it's there. And then I've outlined my teaching experiences in a timeline structure. So I would have started at the Windsor School of Special Education, scroll down to my time at Independent City Primary School, where I'm now currently working at the Jesse Repole Primary School. And then I also added my greatest takeaway. What would all the experiences I would have garnered since I started teaching to know, again, engaging in the reflective process, what would I have taken away as an emerging teacher? Looking back at my 5+ years in the classroom, what have I learned? What have I, done to engage or boost or grow professionally? So you can also add that there. Then of course, this is where under the About Me page, I talk about my brand. Who am I? I am Apple to Primary. That's the name of my YouTube channel. That's the name of my professional brand, where I curate and create local content for my Jamaican students, right? How many times do we go on YouTube and have to really go all over the place to find something that our students still can't relate to? That's why now we're using and engaging in the space where we can now be creators of the content that we want to see in Jamaica, right? So that's the introductory information page. Let's take a look now on another amazing portfolio done by Mrs. Rochelle Harris Burrell. And what we're going to be looking at, is how she represented the guiding portfolios, right? Hold on one second. And I want us all to also go ahead and bring up our portfolios in the meantime. So as you can see here on her e-portfolio, she would have also had the place of employment, teaching philosophy, teaching experiences, resumes, proof of qualifications, all of the introductory information, right? So what we're going to focus on now is the guiding principle 1. Can someone raise their hand and remind me of what it is that we're to look for under guiding principle 1. You see here that she inserted herself in the language of the guiding principle. Rochelle knows the subject she teaches. Before I scroll down, what should we be looking for? Yes, Sharon. Go ahead and unmute. What should we be looking for under guiding principle 1?
If you're speaking, Sharon, we're not hearing you.
No,
Let's
yeah.
jump quickly down to Shardine. Shardine?
Okay, yes, go ahead and unmute.
Good afternoon, everyone. So you should be looking for things like her lesson plans or action plans, anything that would show that she's aware of her subject area and maybe her students, the best and the worst grades as it pertains.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Right. So we're looking at evidence such as the, like you said, action plan and everything like that. So here you see her photos, they're beautiful. She's talking about her passion, how it drives her, how it moves her. Without passion, you give up too easily. And then you see that she teaches biology. So she's a science educator at the Campion College. And you see that she represents her portfolio in a way through video. She created her own video representing who she is, how she is as an educator and teaching bio. You can go ahead and check out her YouTube channel as well at Care Beyond Reach Academy. Like I said, educators, branding yourself is key. It is important. It's a part of who you are as an educator and what you can achieve. So what you can see is that on her YouTube channel, what she's showcasing here under guiding principle 1 is how she knows the subject. She's showcasing all of the resources that she developed and created to ensure that her students also know the subject. Right? She is excellent in terms of creating content for high school CSEC level students. So you can see it added here. For her resources, you'll see that she has different notes that she would have had on different topics. You have lesson plans that she would have added here, lesson plans for the year 2020, also including all of the lesson plans that she would have done throughout the period here. And someone had asked earlier, when we say all, do we mean all? Yes, we mean all lesson plans fully evaluated that should be added to your portfolio. Here you can also see that she represented some of her students' work. She also had a link that takes you to her drive that shows you the students' work with written feedback. So these are some forms that, some posters that her students did on a topic that she would have given them, assumingly in some frequency, right? So these are some of the responses that she would have received from her students looking at the students' work. And of course, her action plan is added. So far with all the evaluation and everything, this is guiding principle 1. Guiding principle 2 now, raise your hand, students, come. What are we looking for with guiding principle 2? Rochelle knows how to teach the subject for which she is responsible for. I'm looking at the chat. I'm looking at YouTube as well. Yes, Sandra, go ahead and unmute. What are we looking for here on the guiding principle 2?
So under guiding principles 2, you want to look at how the teacher knows to deliver content. You have recorded lesson plans, options on how she uses these lesson plans, how she teaches, the tools she uses online, proof of students' work, as well as videos.
Sandra, you just received 3 gold stars. Excellent, done. So you can see here that she has her pre-COVID, so her physical class presentations, and then she has her recordings of her virtual space. So what we're also seeing again is just organizing or information per year, date, under different subjects, topics, everything like that, putting it together so that we can go on and actually know what it is that we're looking at so that we can't be, we won't necessarily be confused, right? So she would have gone out to take these images to show to her students, actually getting involved in the teaching and learning process and creating these types of resources for her students. So again, under her professional brand, Care Beyond Reach Academy, she's now creating resources for her students to look at in terms of vegetative propagation. And even while I'm talking to you, I don't know what this is, but it's well done and I can interact with it and still get an understanding of what it is the students would have learned based on their work and the resources she would have created. So she also did a field trip, interacting with the students, etc. Right? Moving right along to guiding principle 3. Who is going to tell me now? I didn't even ask, and I see Ebo and Barrett raise the hand. Excellent, I'm loving this. Rachel is committed to the children in her care. What are we looking for here?
Yes, how committed am I to the task? And that would include, what do I do after school, even during school, to help the children to learn what I'm teaching. We could also do case studies and engage them on WhatsApp and other devices now that we're online.
Excellent. And looking at how we differentiate, right? Someone had raised their hand, but they lowered it. All right, so excellent job. So, okay, it's back up. Yes, Aaron, go ahead. Don't be shy, Aaron. No man, it's Aaron. Go ahead, Aaron. Can you unmute?
Go ahead, yes.
All right, not hearing from Aaron. But in the interim, let's go ahead and take a look at her differentiation. Okay, go ahead now, Aaron.
Yeah, so it says that we should have log off for extracurricular activities and performance incentives. So that would include certificates, awards, etc. And we should, which I think is a good idea for all of us, do a case study so we can introspect to see how we can develop our knowledge based on certain aspects. And in doing the case studies now, we are able to develop in the learners critical thinking skills and identify different ways that we can, as the students and the teacher, we can solve real world problems and to make improvements.
I couldn't have said it any better, Mr. Gordon. I love that. So here we see now where Mrs. Harris-Burrell would have showcased how she would have put together her, Mrs. Wilmot?
Yes, just to say, the question in the chat about the recording, this is currently being recorded. It's live on YouTube. So of course it will be there. All right, for the questions in the chat, the persons who are asking, will this be on YouTube? Yes, it will be there. It is there. And just to let you know, for your colleagues who are not able to get in the room based on the fact that we are now at 1,000, just send them the YouTube link. We will add it to the chat and you can send it to them. And you can always go back there after this and watch at your own pace. Thanks, Ms. Evans.
Not a problem. All right, so we're going to come back now. So Shanda, it's Jody and Evans. Yes, I'm blushing just because you asked. I don't even know why, but yes. All right, so we can see here that Mrs. Burrell is showcasing how she would have made the accommodation for a student in her class who speaks Spanish. So she acknowledged that despite the language barrier, she made sure to try and access the necessary assistance. And when we talk about that assistance, we can go as far as collaborating with the Spanish teachers that we have there. So for example, Mrs. Harris-Burrell would have been a biology teacher, but there are language educators at Campion. How do they collaborate to ensure that this child and her needs are met despite the language barrier, right? You can also see here that she has evidence of the peer tutor that would have been working towards translating the information between herself to the child, vice versa. So that's an example of putting it together. Here you can see the involvement in the different school activities, just everything that you do as an educator. How does your school benefit from your presence? When we ask ourselves this, when we go to school, when I represent my institution, are they proud to have me there? What can I offer to my institution, right? You see here that she also had a student with selective mutism, so she had to obtain information and communicate with the parent in order to help her student best. And she outlined all of the strategies that she would have put in place in order to deal with selective mutism, right? All right. Now, with all of this, you have student appreciation and testimonials, inclusive of a screenshot of the email. So like I had mentioned before, you create your evidence. It's there, whether it's in online, virtual, physically, you create your evidence, take pictures, screenshot, have it well represented. who's going to be the first person now to raise your hand and tell me what we're going to be looking for in guiding principle 4? The teacher sharpens her professional skill. All right, so I'm seeing Sigale Winters and Camicia Stevenson. I apologize in advance if I didn't call your names correctly, but go ahead and unmute. Melisha already beat you both to the gun. Yes, go ahead.
Hello, this is Sigale. So
Hi, Sigale.
for guided principle 4, how the teacher sharpens professional skills, I think we would be looking at maybe like some of the professional development training that the teacher would attend, like this one, and getting certificates, or getting some form of certification for attending maybe research that the teacher would have done, projects that the teacher would take part in, or do, and keeping records. I think.
No, you don't think, and you are right on task. But can I mention something here as well? Do you know that we don't necessarily have to wait to join a professional seminar in order to do so? Colleagues, how many of us are on our staff with with qualities that our colleagues can benefit from? You can schedule a time with your principal to actually have or engage in a professional seminar at your own institution. Create your program, your agenda, send out an email to your colleagues, formally represent yourself. Go and take the initiative to bring whatever you have forward to your colleagues and include it here. You're sharpening not only your professional skill, but your colleagues' professional skills at the same time, right? Do we understand what I'm saying? So yes, we're always looking at the trainings that we have gone to, but what about the trainings that we can put on for our colleagues, right? So let's look at that as well. Excellent. I'm going to take Kamika.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Just a minute, just before you go, may I ask at this point? I'm sure that the lead teacher program is something that many teachers don't know about, and I think this is an excellent opportunity as we look at guiding principle 4 to give the teachers some more information about serving as a lead teacher in their quality education circles. And this is really very important, teachers. And I'm happy that Ms. Evans brought that out, because it's about, we have been getting fat. Now, how much do we give so that we can nourish others? Mr. Leslie, you want to talk here about the lead teacher program? I'm not, Mr. Leslie, are you hearing me? All right, go ahead, Ms. Evans.
All right, not a problem. I'm sure he'll come fill in when he's back. But as we can see here with Mrs. Burrell's portfolio, she has been a part of numerous trainings. Not only has she been an attendee, but she has also, Mr. Leslie?
Yes,
okay,
I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yes.
Sorry. I wasn't eyes on for a minute or two. You wish me to take over the rest of the presentation? Is that it?
No, DJ Leslie, only a song.
Oh, I could spin a few tracks. You want me to just share a little bit about the lead teacher program? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, great. So greetings again, everybody. Indeed. So what we're trying to do is to have teachers work in their QECs. I know the concept of QEC is not something that all of us are very familiar with. QECs, as quality education circles. All schools are in QECs. We do encourage teachers in QECs to collaborate. And so we have been working to identify and train and support a group of teachers who will work with other teachers in QECs to form learning communities. And so a math teacher, for example, in QEC 9 would find the other math teachers in that QEC and you would form a learning community. And by being a part of that learning community, you just work together, you support each other to ensure that iron sharpeneth iron, as the Bible says. And so we have been asking persons to volunteer. We do have quite a few. We are hoping to launch this activity within another week or two. And so you'll be interacting with your lead teachers. But we also are still looking for persons to volunteer. In a minute, I will put a link that you can use to sign up for the lead teacher program if you're interested. I'll put that in the chat, and you can just click on that link and give us your name and so on, and we can reach out to you and enroll you in the program. We are hoping to begin our next cohort of lead teacher training within another 2 or 3 weeks.
Thank you, Mr. Les. Over to you, Ms. Evans.
Thank you so much. All right, so as shown before, what Mrs. Burrell is showcasing here on her guiding principle 4 is just all of the professional trainings that she would have conducted as well as been a part of. You'll also see here that she didn't stop there. She had collaboration with the geo department at her own school and put together an event that she can represent on her guiding principle 4, as well as all of the resources, right? So you see that she's also adding the trainings that would have been done on her page. And I'm going to quickly show you an example of how to go ahead and add all of this to your site. Guiding principle 5, who's the first person? Who is it? Who is it? I'm seeing no man. Wait, where have we? Wake up, everyone. Chop, chop. We're almost there to the finish line. All right, right. So I think there must have been an accident, right? All right, so I see Tracy Lee, go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon.
Afternoon. What are we looking for with guiding principle 5 now?
Well, we're looking for evidence such as parent conferences, your flyers and brochures that you would have sent out relating to any development sessions you have with your parents, any community involvement, parent month celebrations, for example, showing that you have been involved in your PTA meetings so you can have your agenda and stuff like that.
Excellent, right. So we're looking at how we involve with the parents and the community and any type of correspondence, feedback that we would have received from them where that is concerned. And you can see that all of the evidence can be shown here via picture on her portfolio, right? You'll also see that for the school, a newsletter would have been posted within her institution about her contribution to education at the school and how everything that she's worked come together, right? So we're looking at adding all of that here. Who is going to explain to me the last guiding principle? Teacher conducts him or herself in a manner that will uplift the profession. I heard from Aaron already and Tracy. I'm waiting for the hands to be raised. All right, here we go. Latoya, yes. Latoya, can you unmute?
Yes, good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Okay, teacher conducts him or herself professionally, meaning that whether you're on the job or off the job, you should conduct yourself in a way that you stands out, means that you're exemplary, you're different from the rest. So in the instant where issues arises, you would stand firm and tell yourself that this, I am a profession, so certain behavior or certain conduct is not mine.
Excellently put. And I couldn't have said it any better. And on that point now, we're looking at, for example, going back to the earlier points, if I am a member of the JTA and to date I haven't received my JTA card, will I not include it on my website that I'm a part of the JTA body? No. What Mrs. Burrell did was she created her own evidence. She just simply outlined that she's a proud member since 2015, and that in itself is evidence-based, because until she gets her card, this is what she's using to showcase same, right? So she's also looking at the trainings that she would have done for different institutions. You see here that she's done trainings with the Jamaica Teaching Council for different institutions with the posters that would have been done. She would have engaged with persons on YouTube, engaged with Jane Bank. So putting yourself out there in a way that truly represents yourself and the profession. You see here that she also received an award. So it's really just getting and gathering all of your evidences and showcasing them, right? So with the remaining time that I have left, I just want to give you an idea of how we put it together on our Google site. For example, here is another way to actually put your site together. You have your professional photo, you have your name, you have your mantra, everything like that, just simply represented. And then what we're going to look at is now creating that page to add, for example, the evidence. If we're to go back to my portfolio here, you'd see that I would have had a folder for guiding principle 6. Here you'd see that I have a professional picture. I have my appraisal document. I have some student feedback, and the student feedback image would be what I created. So again, you're not limited to just screenshots. Put it in a creative way and post it. So I have students saying, oh my gosh, Miss, you're the best teacher ever. This is so fun. And even though it's the simplest of comments, it helps me to realize that this is something that I can use to guide my classes. To have a child tell you that you're their best teacher, or that what they're learning is fun, that in itself is something that we can look at. So you create your own evidence. So I have my guiding principle 6 portfolio folder on my Google Drive. Everything that's relating to that is in here, and then I can go to my draft, add a new page, for example, calling the page guiding principle 6. And again, I'm not going to go too in depth with this because the resources are on the YouTube channel, Jamaica Teaching Council's YouTube channel. But you'll see here that I can also interact with it like this. So I have my guiding principle 6 here, which is my header, and then I'm going down here. All right. So I have two options. Here I have my guiding principle 6 already in my folder. So what I do is when I go to insert and I go to my drive, from here, I just go straight to that folder, starting with my professional portfolio documents, going straight to my guiding principle 6 folder, and then inserting one by one the image or the documents that it is that I want to. So for example, if I insert that image there and then insert this feedback, I can go ahead and just drag and drop them however I choose along my portfolio, right? So while those load, we're also looking at adding, for example, like I said, the link to your YouTube channel. So here it is, they're asking about any other publications that you would have been involved in. Recently, I would have been honored to have been done an article on with Education Jamaica magazine. This is something now that I can include as my evidence for guiding principle 6. So of course I copied the link, I go back to my site, I can add a text box where I can align and say Education Jamaica magazine, Education Jamaica magazine feature. And of course I'll fix it properly. I can go ahead and change the background style to blue if I'd like to fit the color scheme that you'd see. And then I'd go ahead to embed and post that URL right there. And then you see the link popping up. So it's giving me the option to either upload the entire page view or just a preview. So again, I can choose however I want to showcase that, for example, like this long feature here, and then you see the actual website being embedded. Also, for example, you have your LinkedIn page. How can I hyperlink my LinkedIn to my Google Sites? So what you see is on your LinkedIn page, you go to edit public profile and URL right on your home page, and it will take you to this page here where you can create a public profile. So a public profile badge builder. I'm going to challenge someone to say that 5 times quickly. But what you're going to do when you're on this page here is first copy this code So you have two steps. You copy this code first. So I'm going to click on copy code, go back. Let me add another text box to say same. So what I'm showing below is my LinkedIn page. Go ahead and center align that. Change the style, okay? And then now I'm going to go to embed. Now I'm going to go to embed code this time, not URL. I'm going to the embed code. I'm going to paste the first code there, go back and copy the second code. So I can choose whether I want it to be small, medium, large, or extra large. I can choose whether I want it to be black or white. I'm going to copy the second code, go back to my draft and paste it. Then I click on next and it's loading there, right? So there you have, I would have inserted my badge. So what we're creating is the interactive aspects for our portfolio. Whenever persons are on your portfolio, the interaction takes them straight directly to your LinkedIn page where they can view, connect, follow, etc. Lastly, what I'm also going to do is now embed my YouTube channel. So here, for example, how you uplift the profession, this is an example of how I do so. So let me go ahead and type a header. My YouTube channel, for example, the name of my channel is Apple to Primary. So on my YouTube channel is primarily targeting early childhood to primary school students. So I go to my channel and then I go ahead, I copy my link, go to my draft, insert, go ahead to embed, URL and paste. And then there you see the preview to my link. What I could also do is actually from here, go to YouTube, right on the same insert page, go to YouTube, type in, for example, the brand name, Apple to Primary, or the example of a video. Because what you can do is you're also showing, yes, this is your brand, but here's an example. So here's an example of the video of Nanny of the Maroons, and I just drag and drop it beside it. So then you can talk about yourself, add your professional photograph, talk about how you are as an authentic brand. How does my YouTube channel showcase who I am as an educator? Do I add to the profession with my YouTube channel? And you go ahead and you have that discussion. I'm going to take a long pause now and invite you colleagues to share with me your questions, suggestions, thoughts, feedback, etc. We have officially come to the end of our presentation.
All right, Ms. Evans. That has been an interesting one. DJ Leslie, are you ready for us? Because the teachers, they have stayed, they're good, they're interacting with us. DJ Leslie, is a song ready for us? Because we have a song, you know, there's a song for
give me a second, just give me a second. I'm lining it up. Yeah, no, give me the word. No, not take your head.
Oh, all right, don't fire DJ. Don't fire DJ.
No, just give me a second. Give me a second. My computer's slow.
First, this has just been awesome. Thank you as always. As our DJ is trying to make an excuse for us not to fire him. But just to say that it's been really awesome, Ms. Evans, and teachers, we wouldn't have had this kind of awesomeness if you were not here. So give yourself a pat and do a move, you know, give yourself a move. You deserve a move at this. Show me your move. You doing your move? All right. You doing your move? Yeah. Your move like that. Or you want to do the Jerusalem, whichever one you want to do. But teachers, you have been doing the work. We want you now to show the world what you've been doing by putting your e-portfolio together. And so here's a little song that we're dedicating to you. This is for our teachers. DJ Leslie, over to you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. If you give a little more than you take, and if you try to fix more than you break, If you're the kind who takes the time to help a stranger in the rain, there's a place for people like you. If you stand up for those down on their knees and lend a voice to those who cannot speak, if you shine a little light, give sight to the ones who've lost their way, there's a place for people like you. I've heard up there the streets are made of gold, and when you get there, there's a hand to hold. I believe when your days down here are through, there's a place up there for people like you. If you walk around with your heart on your sleeve, and if you're trying to be the change you want to see, if you lay down your life for love so someone could be saved, there's a place for people like you.
Thank you so much. All right. Thank you. All right. So you and all of UNO, because you've been good like that. Thank you for joining us. Just give love to Miss Evans, who has once again shared with us what she would have learned. And remember, teachers, that she didn't just do this. She has been working and working and working on it. And we're saying just stretch those muscles and continue to grow. We want to invite you, teachers, to share with others. As you learn, we're getting fat, you know, we're really growing and we're stretching and we're quality education circles and make the difference. And with that, I want to say, take a break, take a stretch, and we're going to be coming back in another 15 minutes for our final segment. And this you don't want to miss. So sign up the form. Remember that for you to be certified, you have to complete the form that's being displayed on the screen. Thank you. You have been good. So take your break, do your stretch, and come right back. Bless you. Have a great rest of the evening. See you at 3:15.
Thank you, Ingrid. Thank you. Colleagues, we're going to just kind of give you a chance to stretch your legs. Please don't use any Instagram or any Facebook. Rest the devices, go outside and look at the plants, or go in the kitchen and open the fridge and close it back like I always do every day when I'm at home. Just don't use any device. We'll be back at 3:15 for what will be our final session, and I'm so excited about that, and I'm really encouraging you to join us for that session at 3:15. You don't need to log off. We're going to keep the meeting open until 3:15, but we definitely want you to just take a little break and come back.
The link has been shared in the chat, teachers. So just go ahead, just scroll up. For the persons who are saying they're not seeing the form, it is in the chat. Just go up and you will see it there. But of course, I'm going to ask that someone just repost it. You keep reposting it for the persons who are having a challenge with this break. All right. So thank you so much. See you in another 15 minutes.